Good day. Hello. Welcome to Ego and Vice. This is one episode away from Ego and Vice being a senior citizen. Cheap bus rides.
All day long.
Yeah. This is episode 64.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Born and raised in South Bay, lower class punk ass, I was Northwood grade. I had it made. Spent my nights drinking with my mates. Just a short bus ride up to PA. Red River Red. Then I hit the wall and I knew I had to bounce. They still say that 19 years ago, and I got the hell out. From time to time you may see me hanging around. Now I feel like a stranger in this town. Crocs and rolls is where I learned to play. Westwood Tavern's where I learned to walk.
Yo, this is Ego and Vice. This is episode 64. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm with my co-host, Steph. What's going on?
How you doing?
Well, we're still in quarantine.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Yeah, we don't...
I almost forgot.
Yeah, almost. And yeah, shit's gone. The whole world's gone to shit. Actually, well, it hasn't completely gone to shit, but I hate it. I hate it.
You do hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. It's starting to get to me. It's starting to get. It's the routine. Missing my old routine because
Yeah.
now I have I'm not working as much as I did, and I have a lot more time to myself. And as you know, I don't know if the good listener knows, but there are times when I can't be left to my own devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I have the whole day off and, or say I have like 4 days off, let's say I got 4 days and
Oh, no.
and it's just like, oh, this is the first day of 4. I don't have to wake up and do anything responsible for 4 days. Let's go to the beer store and buy it all. And buy enough to keep me so I don't have to leave for the next 4 days.
Yep,
But
let's pickle myself.
yeah, but the problem is I buy 4 days worth of beer and I drink it in a day and a half. And then the last 2 days of my days off are me laying face down in bed,
Going, why?
wishing I made better choices.
Yeah, that is a pattern that seems to happen when you have these long stretches of time.
Yeah.
I worry.
Well, what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? I don't know. I used to.
Are you actually asking me? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's just something that happens, and I have such a good time doing it, though. But I'm very productive and creative when I'm sitting at home, just crushing beers. I am, though. Me and Bob from the Riptides have been putting some songs together for our project, and that is very productive. And did some lead stuff for the Riptides, which was very productive. My biggest problem is that I get all chatty and I go on Facebook and post stuff because I never do that. You know what I mean?
I do notice that's kind of like if I'm not here, that's kind of one of the things that is like I'm not going to say a red flag, but it's kind of a flag when I start seeing you post stuff on Facebook and I'm like, oh no.
Because that's so not my thing, right?
No, it's not. You get real social.
Yeah. I just start talking to people. I start calling people. I call Bob. Hey, Bob, what's going on, buddy? Nothing, just hanging out with my kid. Well, stop hanging out with your kid. Talk to me. And he's like, okay, I gotta go. Oh, fucking whatever, man.
And that's when you're being nice and sociable.
I'm always nice, though.
You are always nice. I mean on the Facebook.
Oh, yeah, sometimes I'll just pick a fight to pick a fight.
Yeah, sometimes you pick a fight.
Yeah, something sticks in my craw, and I have to get it out and try and convince somebody that I'm right. But, hey, man, we're all human. What are you gonna do? I don't know.
How productive are you on those last 2 days of that 4-day weekend?
Oh, forget about it. It's a write-off. It's terrible. But hey, man, it's okay because
Wallowing in your own
no,
crapulence.
it's because routines are all messed up right now.
Yeah.
It's like because I'm used to going to work like 4 or 5 days a week and coming home and getting dinner ready and picking you up or going to your place. We'll have a couple drinks, a couple of beers, then we'll watch some TV or we'll go out for beers or we'll go out for dinner or something like that. And it's just that then you go to bed and you go to work.
Yep.
it's like a goddamn free for all right now. Like,
It is.
There's no rules.
It's madness.
There's no rules except don't talk to anybody, and it's just
Yep.
like, all right, that's okay, but
And even like talking to people right now is so strange because I mean, what are you talking about? It's this.
yeah, like I said, it's like the newborn baby. All you do
Yeah.
is talk about the newborn baby. Or if it's like if you go over to someone's house and you don't know them too well, you're more of a like, acquaintances and they have a dog, it's all about the dog. You just sit there
Oh.
you sit there and pet the dog the whole time.
The dog,
look at
yeah,
you.
the dog is the buffer. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, thank God, there's an animal here.
Yeah. Cuz we're all not friends with the coronavirus.
Nope.
He's just that awkward guy in the corner of every conversation. So if there's a dog there, you just play with the dog because you're like, well, hey, scratch, scratch, scratch. We good boy.
Who's a good boy?
Yeah. So how far are we in now? Probably about 2 months? 2 months? I don't know.
I'd say it's coming. As said, I got officially laid off and we closed down on March 16th. So what the hell is it? It's almost the end of April now. So we're about at least into the what I understand is the official shutdown. We're almost 6 weeks in.
6 weeks. But you're back at work now.
I am. I actually got
Part-time.
back.
Yeah.
I'm part-time back at work. As some people know, not necessarily the listeners, I work for a small like chef-owned restaurant in the Glebe. And
Support your local businesses, people.
yes, for the love of God, like especially right now, support your local small businesses, support your local small restaurants if they're doing like delivery and takeout. Like do that over the big conglomerates. Like we are dying, and so we finally got a system that we're able to do safely pickup orders. So people call ahead, they order what they want. They give us their, credit card information, whatever. It's all set, it's paid for, and then we give them a pickup time. And then they just come to our window, they come pick up their food. Everybody's happy. And right now, it is keeping us afloat.
Yeah.
We've actually been able to employ a couple of people again because I'd been laid off for like a month. So I've only been back for a week and a bit. But yeah, man.
But you're still eligible to collect that big fat Trudeau money, no?
Oh, man. I made sure to that my hours are just under that line where I'm able to get a little bit of extra coin, but I'm making sure that I'm still eligible for that CERB money because one or the other is just not gonna cut it. I need all of it because Glebe living is expensive, yo, and I may not be going out and having the same like habits as I used to, but I gotta eat.
Yeah, and that CERB money's enough to feed yourself and to, if you're working part-time plus you're on the dole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have enough. Like you don't have any frivolous things where it's
No.
like, I'm going to go out and get my nails did. Because
Yeah.
there's nowhere to do that, I guess, now either.
Well,
but-
yeah, that's the other thing is like all the little like fancy treat yourself shit that you could be doing with this government cheddar is like you literally can't do it. There's nowhere to go. So you have to sit at home and all you end up spending money on is like, I don't feel like having soup and crackers today or a frozen freezer pizza, so I'm going to order something from a local restaurant.
Some Chinese.
It's delicious.
Yeah, when it first started, when the pandemic happened and the quarantine started, I went out to the grocery store a couple days in a row there and just stocked up on like soup and pasta and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm fucking good. And now it's the thought of like going into that cupboard and like eating that stuff. It's just like, oh God, I want like tacos. I want tacos
You want variety.
from a restaurant.
Yeah. You need some variety because as soon as you start eating the same things, then you're feeling extra trapped in that like weird quasi phantom zone routine of just like everything's beige and meaningless.
Yeah. Well, it is most days, but hey man, you try to power through it, right?
You do.
I don't know. My work where I work, they basically laid off everybody except for me and like a handful of people.
Do you have dirt on somebody? How'd you get that?
No, probably because I've been there for almost 12 years. That would
Oof.
probably help. And I'm one of the suckers that just never left. So I have some phantom seniority that means really nothing in everyday scheme of things. Takes a pandemic to be recognized once in a while.
That's
Plus,
impressive.
I have a set of skills that a lot of other people don't.
Are they the special skills that Liam Neeson has? They will find you. They will kill you.
No, I could do that too. I don't know if I think his was that he had the knack of getting away with it. I could probably do it once, but not.
Yeah, not successfully.
No. Because you can't just do that and just be like, okay, I'm good. You have to know that side of it too to like run away. But
How has work been? Have you been been able to social
quiet.
distance?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing too. I was gonna say when you went back to work, I was all stressed about it because it's like you're introducing people into our quarantine bubble. Because the only person I've hung out with, honestly, person to person, is you. I go to work, but I never leave my van. You know, I see people through the window, hey, but I never have contact with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like I said to you, like when the first day you went back, I'm like, I don't like that you have to be in a small room with like 3 other people. It's like you're breaking the quarantine. You're bringing all these new weird germs into our arrangement.
I know, but I assured you we are sandying everything to within an inch of its life. I actually wear a mask and gloves when I'm throwing shit out the window to people that they order, just overhanding it. But yeah, so I'm personally taking every precaution, and then my establishment is taking every precaution.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I'd go as like hardcore as I have with like the whole the gloves and like I'm constantly wash your hands, watch this, and then we put on gloves before we
It's
go.
the first thing you say to me when I get in.
Before we go anywhere, and then we like get in the car if we're like have to go to the grocery store, and we take these like disinfectant wipes and we wipe the outside of our gloves and we wipe the door handles of the car. I'm like sitting there like cleaning my keys and my phone like 10 times a day, especially when I go to work and stuff. Because I'll stop at like a gas station to get gas, or I'll go in and grab like a bottle of water and a bag of chips or something just because I'm whatever. And I like literally sit in my van and I take those alcohol wipes and I wipe the whole bag of chips down. I like rub the bottle down and stuff like that because I don't know. They have like that plexiglass divider everywhere now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, people have to touch things to stock them.
Yeah, it's like I like it now because they just hold the thing up and you scan it yourself. Because that always bothered me even before like the virus and all the pandemic and stuff. I hated when, say, you went to Tim Hortons and they handed you your coffee, but they're holding it from the top. Like
they shouldn't be doing that.
Their hand is on like the mouth part. Or when you go and buy like a bottle of water or a pop or something like that at the gas station, and they grab it right by the top and scan it. It's like, why do you do that? There's that one dude at our Timmy's that we used to go to. We don't go there anymore because I don't feel safe about it.
Yep.
But remember, he's like that older. I think he's like a manager dude, and he would always hold it right by the bottom, like you'd see in a training video. Here's your coffee, and I always appreciated that. I totally did. Yeah.
Well, that's just a thing we learned in serving and especially fine dining. It gets drilled into you like your hands should be nowhere near the food or like the rims of glass, like things that people are going to put in their mouths. Don't fucking touch that.
I know.
Because you can wash your hands 1,000 times a day, and you are in that industry, but it's still just a comfort thing. Like, don't fucking touch stuff.
It's like people work at Tim Hortons, nothing against them, but they're all like 17 years old, and all dudes do is whack off when they're 17.
Is that?
That's all they do.
And does that stop at 17? Or does that just continue?
No, but it's like prime.
It's prime whack-off time?
It's prime whack-off time between like maybe 14 and 18, and then you start like actually letting someone else do it. But in that chunk of time, yeah, and then you're palming my coffee.
Yep.
Fuck.
Just giving it a nice caress.
It's gross.
It's gross.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, so things are great.
Yeah, so what have you been doing with the rest of your time?
Nothing.
Well, you got a new game, didn't you?
Oh, I did my first download of a game because I said this before. I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast before, but I was the last of the big time physical copy spenders where all the like where you could get music. This was before Spotify. This is when you had to buy it on like iTunes and shit. Where
Yeah.
It's just like, I want to buy a song for $1.99. It was just like, fuck that shit. I would always go to like CD Warehouse or the remnants of what HMV was, and I'd always buy a CD because I liked that, you know. And now that vinyl is such a available thing, not that it wasn't before, but now it's very commercially available.
Resurgence.
Yeah, then it's cool. Like I'll buy vinyl, but when it came to video games, it was the same idea. Where do you remember back in the day when you used to buy a video game, it used to come with a booklet that was like a quarter of an inch
Hell
thick?
yes, that was my jam.
And you'd sit there and you'd read, like you'd see these are the bad guys, and they'd show a picture of the bad guy and his strengths and weaknesses and all that stuff.
Yep.
He's a sewer dweller,
and it wouldn't have a playable tutorial. It would have the tutorial like right in the book. They're just like, these are the I miss that being like the quick look, especially in like more complicated games with like combos and shit like that, to be able to look at like a quick reference to the book and be like, these buttons do this, instead of just like smashing them and trying to fucking remember.
Right. Yeah, the controller legend.
Yes,
if
exactly.
You will. Yeah. And I always did that. I always like physical copies, and people like take their games back and trade them in. But I don't. I just put them on shelves like books because I like to go over there and look and see them all like lined up, you know?
This is your game history.
Yeah, and Resident Evil has been my favorite game series since I was a kid, way back to like PlayStation 1 in like the mid-90s, I guess, early 90s, probably mid-90s. And whenever it comes out, and they redid Resident Evil 2. Well, they redid Resident Evil 1 like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then about 2 years ago, they did Resident Evil 2, and it's all from Capcom, the original like maker of the game.
Yeah.
And then because Resident Evil 2, the remake for PS4, was so good, they had like this big outcry to make Resident Evil 3. And I couldn't wait. It was like, oh my God, it's like whatever. And because of everything that's been going on, I didn't even think about it. And I asked you, I said, is Resident Evil out now? I think it's coming out in April. And it was like 2 weeks past the release date.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it was like the 2nd. I'm like, what?
It's here. It's here.
And then I was like, I'm totally going to like EB Games to buy it. But
Nope,
can't go there. So I was just sitting, and I almost bought it one night, but I was worried about finances, so didn't do it.
shit
And
ain't
then
cheap.
about 2 weeks later, I ended up getting it, and I've been playing it. I actually started over. Remember when I started it?
Yeah.
I just started over again.
Oh, why?
I felt like at the position I was that early in the game, I did something
You
not
missed
wrong.
something?
Not wrong, but I could have been smarter to have more ammo, more health, and all that shit. I don't want to like start at a save point and just keep getting killed when I'm only in the game about like
I totally understand.
Clock time like 9 minutes. It's like, I'm not doing this. I'm starting over, and I'm going to be smarter.
I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fitting that you got a game about a horrible viral outbreak.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've just been playing the same games over and over again because I'm a goblin. But one of the things I actually did get to do yesterday actually, was I got to do a live Zoom reading of a play with a bunch of my old, almost like coworkers, but like co-actors and stuff like that I used to do a lot of Theater Kraken shows with. And we did a reading of Let the Right One In, which a lot of people will know as that really, really bitchin' Swedish vampire movie. So we did a play reading of that, and it was kind of cool just because I haven't used a lot of visual communique, just because the people I talk to are you, whom I see, and like my family members aren't savvy enough for that, so I'll just talk to them on the phone. So I actually got to see human beings, and we all there were like 7 of us, and we all read this play together, and it was actually really awesome. It was a fun way to spend a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I was dying in the other room.
You were dying in the other room.
Because I was still suffering from my weekend's debauch.
Mm-hmm.
But at first I was playing my fish game.
Yes.
And then one of the dialogues, not that I was eavesdropping, you were doing your thing, you know, but you said, "Do you want to see my hairy balls?" That's what you said. "Do you want to see my hairy balls?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I ended up watching about an hour of porn in your room there.
Did you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a line that I had. I played a couple different characters. I played the mom, and then I played 3 smaller male characters, and one of them was a bully, and of the main character, and yeah, he was a douchebag. So a lot of his dialogue was like, ugh, brutal.
Yeah, but it was okay. And then I woke up this morning and I still felt like crap, and I went to work for half a day, and then I came home and I tackled the disgustingness that is my kitchen.
It looks much better.
I know, it's nice. My house is still very. I don't know. Does anybody else feel like that way? Where it's just like you have all this time at home, and you should be like keeping like your house like tidy and neat and stuff like that. But anyone else, like, because you have so much time at home, you spend more time just like ignoring it?
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's just like, I have all this time, I should clean my house. It's like, no, I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna flop on the couch like a fat baby.
Fat stinky
like
baby.
A fat stinky baby, and I'm gonna watch TV till I fall asleep at 6:30 in the evening.
Well, I saw some joke. I can't remember if it was like Facebook or Tumblr, but it was like, one of those like mom meme jokes where they're saying like, oh, all of this time I've been saying I haven't been cleaning my house because I don't have the time. This week I learned that's not the reason. And it's true. It's just like, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of will. And right now, will is at an all-time low.
Yeah, it's not like anyone's coming over to like judge you.
Also that.
Yeah.
You don't have to spruce the place up for that dinner party you're hosting.
No. So you just wallow in your own crapulence. And,
You do.
And your stink and your filth. And
Yep.
until it's bad when even you can't take it. Like,
I disgust myself.
When we left my house yesterday to go to your place, because we stayed at your place last night, we left my place at about 1:00, and we spent the rest of the time until this morning at your place.
Mm-hmm.
And your place it's tidy. It is. It's nicer, but
Thank you.
my place, when I left it, I was just like, I was putting like pots on top of like, I try not to do this because I judge people for do that. When like, because I work in homes, well, no, on the normal in everyday life, and sometimes you go into someone's room and you're setting up their shit, and they have like dried food plates under their bed and stuff, and I'm like, you fucking monster.
Yeah.
But I was like, when we left yesterday, I was just like, I had all these like food in bowls that I was putting like pots on top of just to cover it.
No.
Oh my god, it was so bad. And then last night when I was trying to go to sleep, I was thinking about, like, I actually went through my brain as I was trying to fall asleep how I was going to clean it and like what the process would be to make it the least painful, how I'm going to kill the cockroaches. And no, come on. We don't live in that fucking squalor. Anyway.
No, at this point it's the apocalypse. It would be rad roaches from like Fallout.
Yeah, this apocalypse blows though.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Could be better.
Could be better.
Speaking of apocalypse, New York City. What a shit show. New York City and New Jersey.
Hey man, all those movies, all those apocalypse movies were right. It all happens in New York.
Mm-hmm. This week, I actually took some time to talk to a friend of mine who lives in New York City. His name is Mike Borchardt, and he is in a band called Nihiloceros, which me and Steph are fans of.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, we played with them. Must have been 2 years ago now, at least.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah, but we've always kept in touch with Mike because he's a very personable guy, very friendly guy, and he is right in the heart of the craziness. And he was an essential worker. He was doing something, and within the last week, I guess it was found out that he had some exposure to COVID, so he is now under quarantine.
Oh my god.
So I called him up, or I just sent him a text. You actually the one who said you should call Mike. That's a good story.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I totally will. And I called him I texted him like 2 minutes later, and he's like, yeah, man, I'd love to do that for sure. I said, I'd love to hear your take on what it's like in the heart of it, because we talked to Ian Tomley about a week and a half ago, and he lives in Chicago. We have all these stateside friends, and I wanted to know what it was like in Chicago, like,
another huge hub,
big city, and it all comes down to like music and whatnot, because Ian Tomley's in a band called Voice of Addiction, and he had to cancel like 50 shows of his tour. And Nihil Osiris, Mike, and the guys, they play all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, like whenever you go on social media, you'll see like snippets from shows and stuff. And he's very generous when it comes to other bands too. There's always tons of pictures of other bands playing and stuff. He's a promoter of other bands, and he loves the scene. He loves music and stuff. So, like you said, you thought it would be a good idea to contact him. I thought about it. I said it's a great idea to contact him, and we did about a 40-minute interview or so, or just a conversation of what things are like in New York City at this time. What's it like being in a band? What's it like being a avid, active performer, having to shut it down and stay inside your house, much like everyone else is doing. But it's kind of neat to hear that perspective from, Ottawa's got, has been hit, but not like New York City.
He's in the heart of darkness, man.
Yeah. And I related to it, too, because my sister, and I've said this before, lives in Brooklyn, just a skip and a jump out of Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So they're almost like kind of neighbors, probably a couple trains away. So I'm going to play the conversation I had with Mike Borchardt from Nihil Osiris.
Sounds good.
But first, I'm going to play a Nihil Osiris song. This might be, we don't want to go too long. This might be the only song that makes the podcast. Just listen up and enjoy it. And you can find Nihil Osiris on wherever you find music. And Mike plugs it at the end, so stick around. And me and Steph will be back after this. This is Ego and Vice, episode 64. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. See you in a bit.
Got a secret in you. I've got this heart of carbon.
Hey, this is Ego and Vice, episode 64, and I have a good friend of mine named Mike Borchardt from New York City. He's also in a very, very active band called Nihiloceros. Nailed it one time. Sweet.
Yep.
And it was a great idea to call him up because he has so much to say, and it's just very interesting with the pandemic and everything that's going on, especially in the hotbed that is New York. So, shit, man. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How you doing?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like I said, my sister lives in Brooklyn, and I'm so
Yeah.
I'm so worried about her because she has like asthma, and
Right.
I don't know. She's at home most of the time, and she lives like because it's New York, right? So she lives in kind of like a shoebox,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a daughter that goes back and forth to her ex-husband and to her and stuff, and I don't know. I trust her judgment as far as, you know, her keeping safe and stuff, but I don't know about him. Not to talk any shit about him,
but you don't know. I mean, I was reading a story in the paper a week or two ago. One of the things that is becoming, I mean, there's a whole series of things that are problems with like various elements of being under quarantine and like lockdown and stuff. But one of the things was people who share custody of kids, because like a lot of those situations, only one side can speak to what they're doing, and so you're like a lot of the times the kids aren't in school, but they're also still traveling from one parent to another parent, and you don't know.
It's exposure, right? It's exposure out in the especially in like ground zero. Like you guys are like New York or New Jersey and stuff are like, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
such a melting pot of just like condensed people.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't pick a worse place to. I mean, everyone just, there's like 9 million people just stacked on top of themselves, and so I mean, it's I mean, there's a reason why the numbers are what they are here, and it's the sheer it's the density of the population.
Of course, yeah. You can't, like, man, New York on a good day before like all this is just it's people on people, like you said. You know, you go on the train, you go down the sidewalk, you go anywhere, and it's just like everybody's everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, up until just like 2 days ago, I was taking the subway into work because I fall under essential work as well, and it's wild, just like it's like Mad Max out there. So there's like. It's like the only people left on the streets. I mean, just seeing New York and Brooklyn and Manhattan and everything just so like just emptied out is insane in itself. But the people who are left, the people who are still on the trains, are like the essential workers, and then the crazy people. So just the mixture of what's left on the streets and what's on the trains, and like, you know, it's in one aspect you're sort of like, it's eerie and it's spooky, but then you also get mad because there are like, I don't know if you've seen some of the press releases with Cuomo getting mad at New Yorkers. There are still like, I actually had to make a trip to my practice space,
right?
Like, I don't know, mid last week to pick up some gear on the way back from work. And it is the first time I had been in there in like 6 weeks, and the whole place is like, no one's been able to practice because you're not allowed to gather and, you know, congregate.
But
you're allowed to get in and get out and grab gear if you need to. So I had a need to be in there, but I had gone in there to grab some stuff. And I walk out, and across the street, there's this whole group of people playing like handball without masks on. So you still see people out on like pleasure trips on the subway and people in parks. So you don't get a lot of that, but when you see that, it's infuriating because you're like, look around, you not see what is going on around you right now.
It's like, take a break from your everyday life. I know everyone wants to get back to like everyday life, but you know, do some shit online. Play some hacky sack online. Maybe you can do that. I don't know. I've been using this thing called House Party for me and my friends and stuff, and we get on, and you can have like 3 or 4 people on, and you just, you know, shoot the shit and whatever. Like, what's up? And then by the end of the phone call, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see you guys for another week. So
right.
Yeah, it's like I got my fill. I feel normal again, sort of. But whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. We've been connecting actually with like friends that we don't, because I mean, especially being a musician, full-time job, all those things that we're always doing in New York life, fast pace, all this stuff. We're always moving, we're always doing stuff, but it's crazy. Like, this is actually freed up more time where like there's been a lot of friends that I haven't, like old friends who live across the country, people I went to, you know, I grew up in Chicago with, people I went to college with, that I don't keep in close contact with because we're all so busy. And we've actually been it's strange. This like social distancing has created these opportunities for us to like play online games. Like I've been getting together with some people in LA and Chicago every Saturday night. We've been like getting together and playing online games and chatting and catching up. So there's been these weird like Zoom connections that, for lack of a better chance to catch up with these people, we've been doing, a bit of that now.
Right. Yeah, me and my girlfriend have been playing a lot of Monopoly.
Yeah.
It's true, but it's like it's like Marvel superhero Monopoly, but now we have like this like
Yeah.
it's like we never would have done that before. We never would have, but
Right.
now it's just like you play some Monopoly because you get sick of watching TV and you get sick. I think I finished the internet. I'm pretty sure I finished it. like what else you gonna? But yeah, we've been playing board games, and the only person like I work, but when I work, the way it's done is like I go to work and I don't leave my vehicle. Basically, I go to a house, and if they want like internet hooked up, because I work for Rogers. Rogers is a really big telecommunications, the biggest, I guess, next to Bell and Rogers anyway in Canada. And basically, I'll go to the house and I'll call them and I'll say, hey, I'm here for your internet install and whatever, and I'll drop like I have to wipe it down with like this alcohol rub thing, and then I put it on their front porch, and then I go back to my van. And then I call them, and I'm like,
you like walking through it?
Oh yeah, it's the worst, dude. It's like
Yeah.
it's like if you're like if you get a customer or a client that's like 25 years old and he's just like, yeah, I'm fine. Like I'm hanging up on you. I'm hanging up on you. But if it's like an 80-year-old person, man or woman, doesn't matter. They're like, oh Jesus, sweet Jesus, what do I do? And some calls.
Well, it's such I don't know. I've been on the other side of that. I mean, occasionally, like we have crappy internet services here in New York for the most part. And they all have their own like little monopolies over like, various regions of the area. So you're sort of stuck with who you're stuck with.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, our internet, our speed is slow, and we don't really care because, who else are you going to go to if you live in this neighborhood? This is who you have to use. So
who's the big provider in America? Like Verizon or
Verizon?
AT&T? I don't even know.
Does AT&T do internet stuff? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I mean, as far as like cell providers, like I have T-Mobile and Verizon, but as far when you're getting internet cable, like, and I guess like they try to do the triple play with the landline and all that. I mean, in New York you have like FiOS and Cablevision, which is Optimum, and then now we have Spectrum. Spectrum, because we recently moved to Ridgewood, which is technically on the border on the other side in Queens.
Right.
So we're not actually technically in Brooklyn anymore. We're on the other side of the line. But when we were in Sunset Park in Brooklyn, we were stuck with Optimum for like 6 years, and they were awful. So occasionally your internet would go out, and you'd reset your modem and do all that stuff. But then you would occasionally be like, you would have to figure out whether or not it was like a neighborhood outage, and you'd call, and they would do that thing where they remotely reset your stuff, and like, all right, well, look to see if the blinking light, and then talking to the person on the phone who's trying to explain to you how they're gonna remotely reset your thing, and you're supposed to do these certain steps. Maybe I'm also just like, when it comes to that sort of stuff, I'm an idiot.
No.
It's so frustrating.
I'll give you an inside view. Like whenever you call up to like a call center, like you call like T-Mobile or you call Spectrum or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you out. Just unplug the modem, plug it back." It does nothing. It's basically just giving you some hope. To be like, please don't cancel our service because we'll help you.
They do something weird too, where they're like, all right, have you done this? And now we're gonna remotely like send us the signal where it like resets all and your thing goes off and then turns back on. Like they identify based on like, I don't know whether it's your IP address or whatever it is. They or with the last 4 digits on the back of your modem they identify who you are, and they can like turn you off and reset you on, and like they're like remotely remoting into your house, and the whole thing's weird, and it usually never works.
No, it never does, because it's probably not like a device problem, like your modem. There's nothing wrong with your modem. It's the signal coming in. Yeah, so it's just like they can't do anything over the phone to like fix your signal. You have to get a tech out and just be like, oh, I'm gonna troubleshoot this and that, and that's where I come in, and I'm out on the lawn, laying on your grass, and if you have grass in Queens, I don't know, but I'm laying on your grass, and
we got little strips,
changing some connectors and some cables and stuff. Yeah, but whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, it's wild. Nobody wants to actually. I mean, it's same thing with like delivery folks, Amazon, and people getting their groceries delivered. Like everyone's just dropping things at the door, and everyone's afraid to see anyone. It's It's I mean, which is good. I mean, it's good. We shouldn't be seeing each other. We should be staying as far away from each other as
Right.
possible. But
How is
it's a
the
different world.
how is the that was I was gonna ask that too, like being in like New York City, like how are people like when you I saw a video on YouTube where there was this dude, he was riding his BMX around like Manhattan, and it was
Hmm.
just dead. He went to Times
Yeah.
Square and there was like one person
Yep.
and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like how is the how is it changed like for you? Obviously there's not many people, but when you go out, like is everyone like optimistic, or is it everyone just like paranoid to shit?
Well, it's sort of hard to tell now because everyone's got a mask on, so you can't even really read anyone's face.
Right.
So, I mean, we have a lot of interaction as far, especially in like the artistic communities. Like we're doing a lot of like, live stream shows and like chats and things like that. So you are talking and interacting with people and having conversations about, kind of where we see we're at and like the hopes of where things are going. But as far as like day to day life and like seeing people on the streets, you don't really get a lot of read on people because people are trying to stay away from each other and everyone's wearing a mask. So it's kind of hard to
Mm.
see like whether or not people like seem sad or down or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely strange. It's strange.
In the
It's
st-
just
in the States now, is it I may have this wrong, but is it mandatory like every time you leave you have to wear a mask?
I don't know. One of the biggest problems that we have as a country right now is that I don't know if you've seen like the stuff going on in like Vegas and Georgia where
Sure,
people are
sure,
like
yeah.
reopening.
Trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
reopen the
There's
country or the state. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
and there's like it's bonkers, but I think our biggest problem, and I mean probably one of the contributing factors to the reason why the numbers are so high is we have no consistency across everyone's like shutting things down at different times, and like different sectors of industry are like, well, in this state like Connecticut's doing this, but like New York is doing this, but then over in
Mhm.
Arizona they're doing this, so the timing on everything is kind of screwed up.
It's not
And
like
like
straight across the board, like everyone's doing
it's
their
not
own.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like recently, like just as what I want to say maybe a week ago, they made it mandatory, but I think not even enforceable by like I don't even think they're giving tickets or anything. I think it's just a little like a cop will give you a hard time if you're not doing this.
Mm.
But just as of like a week ago in New York, if you can't like you're not allowed to go into it used to be like wear a mask, you should be wearing a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, that's not very responsible of you.
Sure.
But now it's they won't let you into a store or anywhere where you have to be in like less than 6 feet of someone without wearing a mask.
Mhm.
Like the if you have to go in a subway, if you have to go into a store, if you have to go in anywhere like that, or if you're on the street and you can't guarantee you can stay 6 feet away from someone, you're required now to wear a mask. But that's only here in New York. I mean, it might be other places too, but it's definitely not a blanket United States thing. And it's also, I don't even think being necessarily enforced or punishable or anything. So it
Mhm.
just, I don't know. It's just like, it's like no man's land.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like Canada is like Ottawa. I can only speak for Ottawa, but and basically just like watching the news and whatnot. But Ottawa has where you're talking about how nobody's like across the board, like everything's like split
Yeah.
up. Ottawa has been very, very diligent, and I feel like when I go out, I know that I have to stand in line to go to the grocery store. I got to stand
Same.
6 feet apart, and then they have like the lines on the road or spray painted on the sidewalk and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But everybody is very everyone is kind of following the rules because Canadians are like, okay, that's all right.
You guys are so much Americans are assholes. Canadians are like, yeah, you guys, I don't know. You just as a country, I think you guys are a little bit more considerate.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I saw that thing also. Like, I don't know if it was like Georgia or wherever, where those there was like a protest saying you can't tell us to stay home, and all
Yeah.
those people like showed up on the I don't know, it was City Hall or wherever the hell they were, and they had like their M16s and their guns
Yeah.
and all that shit. And I'm like, man, what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on? You know?
It's weird.
There's not a
And
there's not a single automatic weapon in Ottawa, I promise you. Well, there might be, but they never get
right.
pulled out. Although
Yeah,
there was
they're
that
on the street.
crazy mass shooting in Nova Scotia, like east of us, which is
Yeah.
super rare. Some dude dressed up like a RCMP, like a Mountie, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And he went out on a 12-hour like killing spree, and he just shot like random people. He ended up killing like fucking 30 people or something. It was fucking crazy, man.
Jesus.
That shit
That
doesn't
is crazy.
happen in Canada, but
Right.
I guess it does, but it's nuts,
Yeah,
man.
but not. Yeah, I mean that's not something that you hear about
No.
on the rag up there.
Yeah.
You guys too, like from when we were up there touring, you guys at least, I mean, obviously downtown, like Ottawa is, you know, it's like the financial capital area, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I guess.
right.
Yeah.
So what? So I mean, you guys got like that area, but then outside of there, like where we stayed, whenever we've gone through there, it's like out in the middle of like, you guys have a lot of like open space, but there's not a
It's
lot of
very spread out, yeah.
dense people, right? So at least that's what helps you guys with like contagion and the numbers and things. I would think
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that's
a
right.
little
That's
bit.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I've been keeping an eye on like some of the bigger cities. We have friends up in Canada. I've been looking at like Toronto, but all it's weird because the reports that I keep looking at, like they seem to do a good job at breaking out certain areas of the world. But like in Canada, it's like they sort of like lump together bits of the provinces, and then they'll give you like two of the major like towns, but then they'll just be like, we don't know. The rest of it's just like there's five. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Everything's fucking on its head right now, and that's the way it is. But how has it been? Like, because you are an avid tourer, like you tour like a motherfucker all the time, or
We
at
were
least
supposed to come back.
at least play a lot of shows. Like, how's that been?
We
Just
do.
like having just the downtime, like.
It's weird. It's I don't know. It's been. I mean, it's weird because we had like this whole. I'm still sort of wrapping my head around it, I guess, because we had a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Like we had a whole stretch of like local shows ramping up to what was going to be like our record. We were doing our release, and then we were going to go on tour again, including to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So that was going to be happening in like July. But like the details of that were being hashed out right as the sort of like fear of things having to maybe shut down because the virus was coming over
Sure.
was happening. So we sort of put pause on confirming some of the details because we're like, well, we don't really know what this is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had like a stretch of shows here in town and like in the East Coast area that we were going to be playing that all just like our last show was actually this awesome house show the first week of March. That was the last show that we played. And then I mean, in retrospect, we probably should have played it because it was packed.
Right.
There was like a ton of people, and the virus was already here.
Yeah.
But we weren't really. No one really had like quite the scope of like what was about to hit.
Sure.
But then the following week, between my band and my other band, we had two shows. One in Jersey that had to get canceled, and another one here in Brooklyn with my other band. They both got canceled due to the fact that like all of a sudden it was like we went from like 0 to 60 and everything shut. Everything was like no people. Like even before there was official shutdowns, everyone was like we should be staying as far away from any sort of gathering and blah blah blah. So I don't know. It's been strange. We went from like having all this stuff like, and I've just been like sort of like playing through the calendar of all these things that we had scheduled and like upcoming and things I had like deadlines to work on for the new record coming out, and that's all been like sort of pushed indefinitely and been replaced with a lot of like radio interview / live stream show / all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm in. Well, Goat is actually the funny thing is that Goat, the band that you know that I'm in, is it's been on hiatus since like maybe early 2020 because I called the guys and I'm like, you know what, I just need some time off because I'm in another band called the Riptides. And
right, okay.
Yeah, and the Riptides had like a full we had like a full spring, full summer, and then we had a tour which is still pending, I guess, but it's not going to happen. In like October, we were going on the road with the Queers again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we were going to go to. We were actually our last stop on the tour. It was like a 2.5 week tour. The last stop was in New York City. And everything just got fucking shut down, right? It was just like, and we were trying to keep that kind of hope, like, oh, maybe by the fall, like everything's. No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, I keep reading stuff. They're talking that they're not going to bring anything back like to full capacity until fall of 2021, which is like over a year out. So everyone's sort of freaking out about that because that seems to be like worst case projections. But I mean, you're talking like no one playing any shows anywhere for like a year and a half, which is kind of nuts. And I don't know. So like we the way we had our stuff set up was our record was coming out like around July. We were going to be doing like a couple weeks leading up in like July for the release, and then we're going to do the second leg of the tour like in October. And then when this started happening. We were like, okay, well, I guess that July thing's not going to happen. Whether we put the record out then or whether we push the record to the fall, I'm not really sure. But maybe we'll just like make everything happen. We'll do like an end of the year run, like October, and then worry about 2021. But then it's like, well, maybe October's not even gonna. Maybe there won't be any. Or maybe even if like the fall rolls around and shows start happening, there's going to be so much rescheduled stuff that's been like postponed, or like big bands on the road that are going to be like taking up a lot of like venues, and some of the smaller places are need to get back on their feet before they can start hosting like tours and stuff. So it's like when things reopen, and then what reopening looks like as that rolls out are like so many unanswered questions that it's just like it's hard to even tell like what you're postponing and to when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. We had there's a thing in Ottawa every year. It's called Hope Volleyball Beach Fest, and it's one of the bigger, like, it's just a 1-day festival, but it's local, right? And it's just for like charities and whatever. And actually the person that owns the house that I live in the basement of, she's like one of the higher ups. She's like the VP of Hope, and she asked us, like, do you guys do Riptides, my other band? She's like, do you want to play Hope this year? I'm like, fuck yeah, that sounds awesome, because it brings out like maybe 30,000 people.
Yeah,
like huge. And she's like, but I can't pay you very much. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I thought she was gonna say like, I'll give you like $100. She's like, all I can pay, all I can pay is $2,000. I was like,
yeah, totally.
Are you fucking kidding?
I'll take it.
I was just like, yeah, I guess that'll do. Just trying to play it cool, right? And yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen, man. It's too close. It's like mid-July.
Yeah, because I mean, Pooza got canceled.
Oh, we were supposed to play Pooza too in Montreal, motherfucker. Yeah, it sucks.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the writing on the wall for all that happened when South by canceled. Like I remember at the time, everyone was like, "Is that an overreaction?" And in retrospect, it's funny because it's like, of course, South by Southwest got canceled. Like that was like that would have been the worst thing we could have possibly done. But I remember it's funny being like, I don't know if you've felt this up there in Canada, or if you guys are like, I don't know, it's we're all in the same boat, but it's like different shades of everything.
Sure.
I was watching this thing. My wife sent me this video. This is like, I don't know, maybe like a month or two ago, like shortly after we started doing like the social distance, like self-quarantine stuff.
Yep.
And it was when people were still out and there wasn't any sort of mandatory. Everyone was sort of like figuring out how serious this whole thing was. And there's this video from Italy where they had been like quarantined for like a couple of weeks, and they sent it was like their letter to America being like, hey guys, you guys aren't taking this seriously enough. We thought we were taking it seriously, and this is what happened, and this is what's going to happen to you guys. And it's basically a bunch of people in Italy from their homes sort of explaining what the last couple of weeks has looked like, and like the ramifications of thinking you're taking it seriously, but not even understanding like how serious this actually is about to be. And it's funny because looking on the other, I mean, it's not funny at all, but like it's interesting on the other side of this, things like, should we cancel South by Southwest? Should this are such a no-brainer? And it's, I don't know, it's just like every couple of weeks in, and then now we're like, what, like 2.5 months into like everything being like totally shut down.
Yeah.
It's, you look back and like every 2 weeks, it's like a whole different, you're like even deeper into this thing where like remembering what the world was like before that,
of course, yeah,
totally different, yeah.
And Italy got smashed. Wow, man! Like, if you look at like the numbers and stuff, that was I think they had more like not quarantine, people that actually got the virus and died. Like that was the number one until America took over. Way to go, boys! Way to go!
Yeah, I know. We have to be number one in everything. Italy was, I think they were the first country where I think the world started to get scared. Everything that is happening in Asia, but it originated there, and like where things were. I mean, and the numbers were big, but it was so far away. And then once I think they started seeing those numbers are traveling across Europe, and then like how that magnified itself in Italy, that's when I think everyone was like, whoa. Shit, this is kind of a big deal.
Well,
and their numbers, I think their death percentages are like still I don't know if I mean, we have way more people who have died, but whether or not the percentage ratio is still higher, their numbers were like so much higher than everyone's, because and they say it's because they had so many smokers and so many old people,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's the reason why, but it was like their ratio was just so fucking high.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like that was the pinpoint of like the whole thing was Italy. Like Italy was just like terrible. And I know China, like
Yeah.
Wuhan or wherever it started, and then like the fish market because people were like eating bats. Or I don't even know the whole story. Like I try and follow news and stuff like that. But if you look at like the percentages of like what's going on in China, it's like they're like 93% recovered. Like they had like 100,000 infected, and they have like 93,000 like recovered. It's like,
Yeah.
what the, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know, man, but it's just,
Well, and now it's like second wave. Like you heard, there's like another wave.
oh yeah,
coming through.
yeah, that's the scary thing. Even people like
Right.
like in China are saying like, yeah, we have kind of a handle on it, and we're slowly starting to open up back to like normal life, but a second wave is coming, guaranteed. Especially
Yeah.
in the States, if like Vegas opens like their casinos and all that bullshit,
Oh man.
man, that is I can't even comprehend like what you're thinking. Like I know people need to go back to work, they need to make money, but come on,
But at what cost?
Yeah,
You know what
exactly,
I mean? Like
exactly.
if all the people are dead, like the casinos aren't going to have it. Like you know what I mean? It's like, and at what point is the profit of a business more important than the lives that we're putting on the line?
Yeah.
You know, to keep that. There's no. It doesn't make any sense. And what was I remember I read something about that because I saw the Anderson Cooper interview and the whole thing just like it was like jaw dropping watching
Yeah.
her talk and the things she was saying. But there's
Oh, the
something I can't
Vegas
remember
mayor,
if it was
yeah.
yeah, I can't remember if it was a meme or if it was some story on that. But it was something about like the way that she was. It was something she said about how like dying is part of life or something like that, and like that she was willing to put like that she's. I can't remember. I can't. It might have been just a really funny meme, but
Yeah.
it was something that really succinctly summed the whole thing up about how she's like basically she's sacrificing the lives of her people,
Yeah.
like of her townspeople,
Well,
for the sake of business.
and
And
then
it's like what?
and then she like passed the buck. She's like Anderson Cooper was just like, and CNN is one sided, Fox News is one sided. Like whatever, you
Sure.
take your news from wherever it comes. But
Right.
he's like, well, how do you social distance in a casino? And she's like, well, that's not my responsibility. I'm not a
Right.
private hotel owner. I'm like, but you're the mayor of Las Vegas.
Right,
Don't you give a
right.
shit at least a little bit? Don't just
Yeah,
pass the
it's-
buck. You're fucking. Anyway, it's
Ugh.
crazy, man. It's fucking
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like, I think the goal here is that yes, the virus is out there, and we're trying our best around the world. We are
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to do the right things to try and get a handle on it and stop the spread, of course. But man, it's only been 2 months, and people are showing up with M16 saying, "Let us go back to work." Like, it's the main thing is just like we just want to get back to like normal fucking society, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
and the more that you like either your Second Amendment, right to bear arms, and all that bullshit, you show up on City Hall with a gun, it's just like, yeah, okay, fucking go back to work then. But yeah, you can make some money but for how long? Because before you know it, we're going to be in a worse pandemic than we are.
Right. Right. And
Mhm.
and the thing too is like people are so short sighted. You start to see these like signs of progress, and like it's happening here in like the tri-state area, New York, Jersey, Connecticut. We all seem to be past the apex, over the curve. Things are getting better. We're having like whatever the fifth, sixth, seventh day in a row where like the death toll is like less than it has been prior days.
Mm.
So it looks like we're on the other side of this, but that's not taking into account the fact that we're still like a year away from a vaccine.
Yeah.
There's a second wave coming at some point, and what we need to do is just because things start to get better doesn't mean like we immediately. It's like that thing you do when you're a kid and you're sick, and then you take your medicine, and then
Yeah.
the second your fever goes down and like you don't feel sick anymore, you want to run outside and play, and it's
Yeah.
like no, you're still sick. My mom used to be like, you need to go lay down because you're still sick.
Yeah.
Just because you feel better doesn't mean you are better. And that's what we're like, collectively, we need to not be like that little kid who took his medicine and feels better and wants to go run outside and play
Yeah,
when
no,
he's
no.
still sick.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: you don't take your snow tires off in March because you had a
Right.
sunny day, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
you're gonna get hit again, and then you're gonna be like, shit. but
That is such a Canadian way to explain that.
well, hey, bud, there, you don't take your snow tires off in like March,
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
bud. Yeah. But also, then you got your leader saying that you should like
Oh my god,
Like drink some bleach, or like
dude! Like that is like every. I mean, he said some dumb. He continues to say such awful, horrible, awful, ridiculous things. But
yeah,
like, there's just certain days where you're like, you've got to be. Even for you, this is ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
and then he's always trying to like. He doesn't even like. Then people are like, "Whoa, what the fuck did you just say?"
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even like. He's like, "Oh no, I was being. You were." He's like, "I was being sarcastic." No, you weren't being
No,
sarcastic.
no,
You
he's
were like you were thinking stupid thoughts out loud in front of a podium. That's the problem. Is like not only is he an idiot and unfit to lead and unqualified and a fucking idiot, but like on top of that, even if you were all of that,
Mhm.
like the one thing you shouldn't do is like just be allowed to think out loud on Twitter or on in a podium in front of the American public.
Dude,
Because like
he's
you,
the loudest voice in the world, man. And you know
yeah,
what I mean?
it's
Like
so
people
fucking
will take that
embarrassing.
shit as gospel. What like yeah, disinfectant works outside the body.
Right.
Why can't I put it in my body? Cuz it will kill
Because it's
everything else,
poison,
man.
right? Because it's fucking poison, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I saw it, I watched it, and like, you could see he was like, well, that, like, well, if this is killing stuff, well, then like, there's got to be, maybe we can figure out some way for us to like put it inside,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like maybe you should have checked with someone as to why that fucking doesn't make sense before you just said it.
I know, right? It's
Don't
like
just say shit, dude. Don't just say things and then later be like, well, I didn't really mean it.
yeah,
What the
I was
fuck are
just
you
joking.
talking
I
about?
was kidding. Yeah, I was just joking.
Ugh,
I
he's
I
embarrassing.
was being facetious. I'm
Yeah, I
huge.
know.
I'm huge. Yeah. Fuck.
Oh man.
I know, man. But the main reason I wanted to talk to you is because we have a lot in common. We're both in bands, and we both had to
Yeah.
shut that shit down.
Yep.
Uh, I talked to a good friend of mine named Ian Tomley. He lives in Chicago, and he was on the podcast a couple shows ago, and just telling like what it's like in like a major city. But
Yeah.
you're the diamond. You're the gem. You are in the fucking ground zero. You are in like New York City. So I totally wanted to talk to you regarding like
Yeah.
music, regarding like how everything's going, and I don't know, man. It's
Ian from
crazy.
Voices of Addiction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember this guy. Well, I'm from Chicago, and my family's in Chicago, so I
Oh yeah,
remember those guys.
yeah.
And I remember you did that show. Yeah, yeah. That's a familiar name. I haven't thought about that in a
Yeah,
while.
Ian Tomley. He's a good dude, man. He's a good
Yeah.
guy, and he's basically between the three of us. It's kind of we're all having the same conversation, you know,
Yeah. It's
music
wild.
and just trying to get by with what the hell we're doing. And I don't know, dude. Who knows?
Wow.
Who knows where we're headed? But
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll be we'll hopefully we'll all be around on the other side of this, and we'll be coming back to Canada, so we'll be up there.
well, you guys always have like a a place to crash if you want to. I got a comfy
Thank you.
couch. My cat will probably barf on you because he's a barfer. But whatever, it's
Yeah,
all
well,
good.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Where was your New York show? That was
I don't
that
know.
ended
I
up
don't
not.
even know. It was just like posted like where we were going.
Gotcha.
We were going to Toronto, Montreal, Kingston, a bunch of other Canadian cities, and then we're crossing the border. We were going to go to Boston. God, I don't even remember.
Because we actually had bands touring through New York. We're actually coming up this coming Friday, the 1st,
Yeah.
is yet another show that is going to be canceled or postponed. But it was like us with we had two bands that we're friends with from like Portland,
Yeah.
who were on Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
who are on tour coming through, and their whole tour, which we were playing with them in New York on Friday, is canceled. So it's just like the number of things that are just piling up of bands on tour that are canceled. We had friends halfway to South by canceled them back, and so like it's a lot of stuff with Bandcamp and raising funds for a lot of the people whose tours are just like sort of have been shuttered.
Sure.
But it's astounding.
Well, thankfully, like we have day jobs. Well, and you're on quarantine right now, but I'm sure they're taking care of you if you're essential. But
They
like,
are, and I'll be back. They're not gonna let me stay home for very long, so I'll be back. And once they're like, oh yeah, that's been long enough for you to make sure you haven't been exposed, they'll bring me back.
Yeah, like I have a friend that he's a teacher. He teaches music, and then he basically he's like a studio musician. Like he's hired by whatever, and he plays drums and stuff like that. And when it all like, okay, nothing's happening, he didn't really have a day job, It was just like, okay, what the hell do I do now? You know?
Right.
Yeah, so he started like a GoFundMe thing, and I don't know how I feel about that, but whatever. It's all
Yeah.
good. But I'm thankful that I have a 9 to 5 that I can go to, which I always
Yeah.
have ever since I've been playing music. I've always had the 9 to 5 because you never know, man. You know what I mean? I can't put all my eggs in that basket. I can't.
Well, that and like I mean, you got to have I mean, music doesn't pay enough money. And like, I mean, there's very few people making enough money off of music, especially living in a place like Chicago or New York,
Yeah.
where you can pay like rent and bills off of sheerly just that. Unless you're like one of those people who just drops everything and like all you do is tour and you don't have a home, which is one way to go about it. But I'm married and that's harder to do once you get married.
Yeah.
Um,
He just had a
so
kid, so yeah, it's the way it is, man. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I mean, you have to work, and so your choices come down to do you like all the boat of a lot of our friends are under in service or freelance, where when something like this happens, your freelance work dries up, and if you're in the service industry, there's no service to be had because that's all shut down. And then the flip side of that is having like a 9 to 5, which in my opinion, actually lines up a lot easier with a show schedule because I never have to get a shift covered at night to play a show because all I have to do is use my vacation and sick days to go on tour, and
Mhm.
then I use my nights that I'm not at work to do stuff when I'm playing locally. So to me, it took me a number of years in my 20s to figure out that like shift work and like freelance work and like being in the service industry is less conducive to being a musician than just having something that's a little bit more stable.
Sure. Yeah. Well, absolutely, man. As long as you pay your bills to the best of your ability. I know that a lot of bigger companies and like my car and on my insurance and shit, they'd like send me a text message saying, "We'll work with you the best we can." I know
Yeah,
times are
yeah.
tough, and it's just like, well, that's nice. Like, sure, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think most of the utilities here are like being like, well, if you can't pay your electric bill, like don't worry, we won't shut off your electricity or your gas. And student loans are like, yeah,
Yeah.
we won't charge you any interest. So I think everyone's like automatically kind of being like, yeah, try to, which is kind of a weird thing for like American utility companies. Like
Sure.
I could see that in Canada and then be like, get around to it when you can.
Yeah.
Let's all be in this
But
together.
once this is over,
Yeah,
motherfucker, you're paying huge.
yeah, totally,
Right?
totally.
Nihiloceros. Do you have any like links or websites or something that we can find your band?
The easiest thing to do, it's Nihiloceros at everything. So like at Nihiloceros on Instagram, nihiloceros.com on your browser, Nihiloceros on Facebook. It's the only the Nihiloceros, Spotify, iTunes, just Nihiloceros.
Awesome. And they're a great band. Tons of energy, tons of life, and always fucking touring, always playing. And I played with him a couple years ago and had a great time. And he's a good dude. That's why I kept in touch with him.
Thanks, bud. Thanks.
Yeah, buddy. All I gotta say is stay safe. Watch your back. I don't know, fuck, man. And it was great talking to you. Great
You as well.
great to reconnect, bud.
Definitely. Stay in touch.
Yeah, take care.
And if your sister needs anything, tell her to hit me up.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
will for sure.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Hey, this is episode 64 of Ego and Vice. That was the interview or the conversation. I always call it an interview, but it sounds so stuffy.
That's
How do you interview your buddy? You know what I mean? It's like a conversation.
it does sound rather pompous.
Yeah. That was my conversation with my buddy Mike Borchardt from New York City, from the band Nihiloceros, and I thought it was a good one. I thought it was informative.
It's really good to hear from him. I'm glad he's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we're not trying to prolong this as long as it or longer than it needs to be. But we don't want to sell ourselves short either because it's still our show. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Say the yeah, but you just said too. It's like we haven't done anything, so it's not like there's like
we
tons and tons of like things to talk about.
Yeah, we are want for material. We're not going out to movies. We're not going out to see shows. We're not doing all the, I'm not doing my theater stuff right now, really. So our usual talking points are a little lacking at the moment.
Yeah, but we can still yammer on with the best of them.
Oh God, yeah, we can. Never shut the hell up.
Yeah, I miss. What do you miss the most? Or what would be the first thing you did? Like if Trudeau came on or Doug Ford came up tomorrow and said, "Okay, go back to your life." What would be the first thing you did?
If they're like everything is normal, continue on. I'd want to go out for dinner.
Yeah.
I miss going out for dinner, having a lovely meal in a different place. You know, having lovely wait staff that you talk to and having a drink and being in a different place. And then the next thing I'd want to do is go back to theater, get back to rehearsal. I miss it. We've got a show on hold. We're hoping it's going to go up in August. That's if everything gets unfucked by then. But if not, then we're getting pushed back to February. And fuck, I miss it. I miss it so much. What about you?
Even though I took it for granted before and I hated doing it, I would love to just go sit on a patio
Oh my God, yes.
in some sun and like order a drink and have people around me like annoy me because I miss like getting angry about that.
Doing color commentary on the people around you.
Look at this fucking guy. You know what I mean? Idiot. Douchebag. Remember that guy we saw running down the street the other day in the Glebe with his shirt off and his white sunglasses?
Yes.
Sweating on everybody.
I had to look at that with my own eyes.
Yeah.
It was an affront. It was an affront to me.
Yeah, don't be a douchebag.
Don't be. That's really what the golden rule boils down to is don't be a douchebag. Guess what? It's not hard. It's not hard to not be a douchebag.
And it doesn't even matter if it's like a quarantine or anything, but if you're running down Bank Street, like in the Glebe, he had those black pants on that are like all baggy in the thighs and super tight in the calves.
Oh yeah, his joggers.
Yeah, and then he had his shirt off, and he had I think he had a backwards hat on, and a fucking white, and he had white sunglasses. And
some white Oakleys.
Yeah, and he's just kind of, he wasn't even running. He was just kind of like, yeah.
He was strutting. It was gross.
What a fucking loser.
What a see, we still have people we can be angry about.
That's it. That guy should. Anyway, I don't want to get angry. Fucking guy.
That fucking guy.
Oh, it pisses me off. See, I miss fucking smashing people behind their backs. Anyway, that's okay. All right. We're gonna cut this off now. I think.
Yeah.
I think we have enough content for 1 week. Ego and Vice again because of the circumstances, the situation. We're gonna be here every week, just pumping out fucking material because there's nothing else to do, and it might be the same podcast every week, but
we'll get new stuff to be angry about. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's all. We'll play. We've had a couple like I said last week. We had Ian, Tom Lee. This week we had Mike Borchardt, and I think we might just do one-on-one next week, and then maybe look around for someone else to talk to.
Yeah, and if you're someone who wants to talk to us, feel free to contact us. You can contact us at our email, which is
it's egoandvice@gmail.com. Send us a hello. But me and Steph, you guys know who we are. You can always go to our Facebooks and whatnot.
Yeah.
Ego and Vice at Facebook. If you want to hear us, you can go to Spotify, Podomatic, Google Play, Facebook, all that bullshit, iTunes, because we're ripping business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way she goes. All right, let's shut her down though. My name is Mike.
My name is Steph.
All right, this has been Ego and Vice number 64, episode 64, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.